So I made an attempt already, and all I was getting was buzzing, and then I saw a wire that I had missed. So let's hope that this fixes it. Drum roll. Can you do a drum roll? Nope. I gotta figure this out.
The Dueling Dragons guitar. Some say it's one of the most amazing guitar builds in history. Not for the fact of the intricate inlays as well as the bizarre materials used, or the fact that it is a great playing and sounding instrument, but that it was actually built by someone who was not an inlay artist, not a guitar builder, much less someone who really knew how to work with wood. This is the story of Virgil Mandanese and the incredible year-long journey it took to make that guitar. The story begins with an unexpected mentor. The father of one of his students, Tony Bonaventura, a master cabinet maker, had challenged Virgil to design a guitar in August 2010. Virgil thought it was a nice idea, but he surely didn't think the build would happen. He humored Tony, though, by making a graphic of a guitar for Tony's son Dominic. After a few days, Virgil ended up getting more into the design aspect of the original guitar and started focusing on the headstock.
After 35 years of playing guitar, I realized that the headstock is the first thing a guitarist actually looks at on a guitar, so I knew that was the first thing to work on.
Eventually, over the next few weeks, Virgil would come up with a design that would be his signature headstock. But in the meantime, there was something stirring in his head. It was simply 3 words. This is possible. Why not? There are dozens of guitar builders out there who build guitars. Why couldn't he? One of the things Virgil did think of was that if he were to actually build a guitar, he knew that he wanted to do inlay on the guitar as well. He put the guitar design on hold and began learning inlay.
I started looking at the masters, Larry Robinson, Grit Laskin. These guys just really knew their stuff, so I watched quite a bit of things that they did. Then I decided to order a piece of koa wood on eBay, and then I ordered some mother of pearl, a jeweler's saw, and I started hacking away. I wanted to make a truss rod cover for my carving guitar that I had recently purchased. That's really what got me started. I ended up making one for my acoustic guitar. Then I had a student who wanted a truss rod cover, so I was making truss rod covers.
Virgil got the inlay bug. He was now getting obsessed with different materials and putting them together to make smaller pieces of art. But what was lacking were the tools to cut and shape the wood. In comes Tony. Tony, who had challenged Virgil a couple of months prior, had big plans for Virgil.
I believe he had just ordered a custom guitar, and we were taking a look at it. He just got it in. And I remember taking a look at all the detail, and then I was looking at all the beautiful inlays he was doing just on jewelry boxes and things. I thought, well, why order one of these when you could build one for yourself? You obviously have the talent. So I'll start bringing some tools over, and you can start going to town, and then what I'll do is just help you out in any way you need. So every week I came over, I kept bringing more tools, and he just got crazier and crazier and more creative. And bottom line was, I saw a talent. I don't think he even knew how good he could be. I've been woodworking for over 23 years. He was a natural, so I thought, what the heck? Let's push him. Let's push him to the limits and let him use his imagination and go for it. So I think he did an amazing job.
didn't know what to say. Tony starts bringing over all these tools, and then my sister, takes me on a tool shopping spree when I was visiting her in Gainesville, and I was taking over the back porch. My wife wasn't real happy about it, but I gotta be honest, it really got me rolling into a lot of these things.
There were still lots of things that Virgil needed to build his first guitar. Not only supplies, but the know-how.
I started reading a lot. I was up late at night, hours and hours and hours, just reading about guitar building and going on YouTube, watching videos of people building all these guitars. The only thing that I was really intimidated by was building a neck.
In comes Rick Penta of Penta Guitar Works. Virgil found a neck blank on eBay one night and started messaging the guy with all sorts of questions.
When I saw these blank necks online, I started asking this guy question after question, and he made the big mistake of putting his phone number in one of these messages to me. So I called him within about 30 seconds after getting that message, and we ended up talking on the phone for a couple hours that night, and I talked to him the next night, then the next night. It was pretty cool. I got to meet somebody who had been building guitars for 28 years, and now I was able to, ask the guru all the questions. This was awesome for me. I had a lot of questions.
It seemed like the stars were in perfect alignment for Virgil to continue his journey.
I did know that I was going to build a special guitar. How I was going to get there, wasn't really sure. Then Rick Penta sent me the body blank, and he sent me a neck blank. The neck blank looks basically like this, where I would have to cut out the headstock, so I was on my way.
On Thanksgiving weekend, Virgil went to Gainesville to visit his sister. During his stay, he came up with the dragon artwork to inlay on the guitar.
Years ago, I had seen a PRS Dragon guitar, and I thought it was like one of the most amazing guitars I had ever seen. When I had originally started designing my own guitar, I knew I wanted to do inlay, but I wasn't too keen on the idea of doing a dragon because they're already doing dragons. So I moved on to a gargoyle guitar. After the gargoyle guitar, I was like, no, maybe a tiger guitar. So I started going through all these different guitars and never did come up with like a donkey design or anything like that, but I eventually kept on going back to this dragon idea. And when I was at my sister Mitzi's house up in Gainesville, I was just plugging away on Illustrator all weekend, I remember, and I started coming up with this dragon design. She kept on giving me a hard time because it was too fat. It's too fat, it's too fat, she kept on saying. So I kept on making a skinnier and skinnier and skinnier dragon. Finally came up with this pretty evil looking dragon. Then I decided to mirror it. So it ended up being a mirror image of the two dragons.
One thing Virgil wasn't considering was the amount of time it would take to inlay that much material.
I spent a long time taking pictures of the materials, then basically photoshopping them into the drawing of the dragons. This way I would get this virtual guitar on my computer screen to see what things would possibly look like. One of the other problems I ran into was the lack of variety of mother of pearl and abalone out there, so I decided to start using various woods for the inlay as well.
Virgil decided to practice up on his skills with woodworking and inlay by making his family jewelry boxes and also acquiring a new skill called pen turning.
I met this guy Gary at Craftsman Supply here in Tampa. He does all the wood cutting down there, and I started telling him one day about all the stuff I'm getting into, and I'm cutting wood, and I'm using sandpaper and everything. I was so excited. I was like a kid on Christmas, and he seemed excited for me, so he brought me over to this lathe, and he showed me how to that you could make like pens and all this cool stuff, bowl turning and everything. So he talked me into getting this lathe, which I couldn't afford, and but it was a package deal, and it came with all these little wood blanks so you can make your own pens. So I started making pens. Christmas was coming up, so what a great gift idea. I started making everybody pens. And then after Christmas was over, the immediate family ended up having a family reunion, so I had to make like 25 more pens. I was the pen turning meister there for a while. And I got into it though. I loved it, man. I had sawdust all over the place. I loved it.